are you
How
today?
are
How's it
you?
going so far?
It's
Going pretty good.
Well, good, because it's a great film. I got to tell you, I had all the feels, Rachel. I mean, I did not know I was going to need some Kleenex next to me for this. My heart so went to you guys, like to Robert and to Fran. And, Rich, I want to start with you because based on a play, so not your own original
Yeah.
material, but what was it that connected you to this? Because it's just so heartwarming. My God, it's wow.
Probably all the things that made you connect to it, hopefully. I mean, it's interesting because I think it's an interesting test. It's hard to articulate always what brings you to something, but if the audience has, well, the kind of response that you're having, right? The things that you're saying, it's often a way of sort of testing, like basically what a filmmaker is probably trying to say or responds to in a script is probably a lot of what they're hoping the audience is going to get to. They're trying to translate that. They're trying to sort of carry forward the things about it they see and understand about the material and deposit that with an audience. So I'm sure that anything that you're feeling or thinking is probably what I was feeling and thinking as I was reading
Yeah,
it.
I would think, yeah, for sure. And Dave, okay, first of all, there's no way that this is your first acting role. Is that correct?
not first acting. That would be, I mean, that would be wild. No, I acted, I did, Mr. D,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
Mr. D. Okay, okay. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I did like guest role in the last two seasons, and I gotta give him as so many props for for casting me, for allowing me to be in front of a sitcom. I've never done a sitcom, so I give Jerry and the
Yeah.
whole the production, everybody, all the actors, that kind of allowing me to to get that experience, and then from there I was able to do Rami on Hulu in the US, and then from there, this is
Oh,
my first film,
film.
basically.
Sorry.
I've
Okay.
never been in a film. This is my first
Okay.
film.
Right. So I mean, I just thought you did such a great job with this character with Robert. And question is, what do you think of all the people he connected with Fran?
Why did he
Yeah.
connect?
Yeah.
Um,
Why do you think?
because I've been in I'm not this particular situation, but there's something about me personally where I see somebody. It's like when you see somebody not doing what everyone's doing. Like, so we're in that office and we're
Yeah.
going around asking things. I think her answer was unique, and it was like in her, not that no one else's wasn't, or they were maybe they were trying too hard. She was just so in the pocket of who I thought who she was. And I
Right.
think there's a sense of an attraction to that, where somebody's completely different from you, where I'm like trying to be funny. I'm trying to make people laugh. And she's sitting there like, yeah, cottage cheese. What's
Yeah.
up? Kind
And
of like
by the way, there's nothing wrong with cottage cheese, people. Okay,
um,
seriously, I connected with her. Like, I like cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese is apparently having a cultural moment, as my producer Alex is
I
Yeah.
pointing
personally would never eat it, but I mean,
You
I'd
know
watch
what? Mix it,
people
mix
eat
it
it.
with some fruit, and it's actually not so bad.
Fair enough.
But I have to say, I did you connect with Robert on any personal levels or anything? Like, a lot of us have worked in these offices where everyone tries to be like, "Hey, we're a family," and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, whatever. But just on that level of how he was, did you connect with him in any way?
Yeah, I think in my own way, in certain instances. But what was, I guess, cool to me is that like he's more confident, I think, in certain situations than I would be. Like I would be like, oh man, well, I mean, I'm not that in the office. I'm very shy.
Right.
When I would work in a telemarketing, when I worked in a telemarketing company in Toronto, I was like, it ain't no way you were gonna get me to be like, like, I was like, I would like make fun of somebody. I was like, man, just sit down, bro. Like, but I
Right.
think for me, it allowed me to see like, oh man, I wish I could be like that in real life sometimes. And so to be able to like play somebody like that and push myself to do that, that was really interesting to me and was
Yeah.
intriguing.
Yeah. Rachel, I wanted to know why Daisy, why you went with her, why you thought she'd be your perfect friend. Because look, we've seen her in so many things. She's so wonderful. But man, did she ever just do this role so, so well.
Well, I already knew without ever meeting or knowing what, her taste or anything, I knew what a technical craftsman she is. I could tell because no one can do what she did at her age and what she's continued to do if you're not excellent at
Yeah.
your job. If you're not
Yeah.
excellent as a performer, as an artist, as a craftsman, as a technician. So I was in awe of her from the day I even learned that she was the person to take on the mantle that she did.
Yeah.
Um, so I've always been in awe of her. And then I was quite lucky that I had a film that came out in 2016 or 17, something like that. And she liked it. And she added me to a list of filmmakers that, when she attaches to projects, you're starting a new project, you don't yet have a filmmaker. Often smart producers will turn to their lead actor and say, okay, we've got our list. Is there someone, or do you have a list of people
Hmm.
you want to work with? And then you can kind of build from there. And it doesn't mean that I was necessarily going to get any of these jobs, but I would get often the scripts that she was attaching to sent to me to read.
Nice. Yeah.
And you learn so much about somebody by what they attach to because it reveals taste, it reveals an interest level. I started to notice certain patterns. She's so funny, darkly comic.
Right.
I knew that she was funny from just seeing her in the world releasing her films, but I was like, okay, so she's got this sensitivity for dark comedy, more dry comedy, cool.
Yeah.
She's interested in characters that are complex and challenging and puzzling that would require her to really build, because that's what I kept seeing her being drawn to. And she's really drawn to strong writing. So
Right.
I read this, it had all those things. And she had some esteem for work I'd done before. So I was okay. So she obviously, maybe there's something about my work that she has a taste for. So when I read this, I couldn't think of anybody else. She was in my imagination when I read it. So my
Right.
first conversation with Alex, I was like, well, this is Daisy's role. And God, I hope she says yes.
Oh,
And then
thank you. She was
yeah,
great. Yeah, she
she
really
was
embodied it.
fantastic.
Yeah,
She's
she really,
fantastic. And I'm so
absolutely.
excited for people to see her in this because I think she's just she just dominates this
Yeah.
role.
Dave, what was it like for you to do these, one-on-one scenes with her? And, here we are. She's done so many great things. And oh my God, Star Wars. I mean, come on, does it get any better than that? But for you to be in a film with her and do these one-on-one scenes, very personal scenes.
I was petrified. Uh, Probably for I mean, from day one that I saw her name, because obviously I watched Star Wars, and Rachel helped a lot, you know, um, just leading up to that. I had my friend who's not even an actor was like a scene partner. I put that guy through the ringer. But it was a lot of, I hired an acting coach, Barbara. She was very, we would work together on those scenes specifically a lot. And then I had
Yeah.
sticky notes. And again, it was like the homework that, I would do, Rachel, helping me build Robert as a character. So it just, the more I got close to it, the more I understood the character, and the more practice I got. And when I got there, Daisy, she's so good, and she's giving, she's caring. She was like, that's what you want, I feel, in a scene partner. Do you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, she
Oh yeah.
helped me elevate. She helped me be calm, and she helped create this. So I got to give it up to her too, and how she carried herself. And I didn't feel there was any kind of ego or any sense. It was like people. She just, everyone wanted to make this project dope. That's what I
Mhm.
felt. Everybody,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
even
a
the
good
cake.
group of people. Like the whole cast, everybody. It's such a good group, I have to say. Rachel, the visual aspect of it is quite beautiful. I mean, okay, look, you see the title, sometimes I feel like dying. I mean, first of all, who doesn't? Who doesn't? You'd be a liar to say you never, I mean,
Mhm.
you don't want to take it that far. But the visual aspect of her fantasy, of her thinking
Mhm.
about these things, wow. I mean, it's quite beautiful.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
In a
these
weird
visuals
way,
are
you know what I'm saying?
incredible.
Tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about that and getting that on screen.
Well, there's the sort of nuts and bolts of building compositional meaning. That's its own sort of thread. But before you can even get there, you have to sort of decide what is the functionality of these interludes? What are
Mm.
they? How do they live within her? What are the motives of them? And, for me and my team, the idea was that this is not about morbidity and self-punishment. It's actually about a kind of retreat into something that feels comfortable, that feels like a release, that in some ways is seductive, right? It's
Yeah.
an alternative to where there is pain, and that is in reality, that's in her day-to-day life. So
Right.
if it's something she's turning to from as a means of coping, well, then there
Mm.
must be then there's an attraction, there's a comfort, there's a seduction, there's a richness, there's some like more attractive alternative in it, sensationally, emotionally, imaginatively,
Right.
was the concept. And so then from it, by having that as the conceptual motivation and foundation, then that gives you sort of directive or organizing principles, and I should say
Mm.
organizing principles for what they're all meant to be dialing into. But then each vision has its own motivation,
Yeah. Yeah.
its own relationship to the overall narrative.
Mm.
Um, they all have their own integrity. So we had
Yeah.
to treat them like their own like scenes. Like they
Right.
are scenes. They're not just image pools. They are scenes.
Yeah.
And so then that is the next layer. And then if you approach it that way, well, and then you're deciding what that scene is about based on, and this was a challenge because I like to plan everything.
Mm.
I couldn't arrogantly anticipate the character that Daisy was going to build, and I couldn't arrogantly anticipate the setting and the symbols that would be coming out of these locations. I had to allow me and Dustin and my designer and our crew to listen and pay attention to what we were going to be submerged in, to then build the language visually inside those compositional scenes.
Yeah, yeah, they really were beautiful, I have to say. Just to wrap it up, Dave, I want to ask you, I think ultimately the movie gives people hope. I really do. Like it doesn't, if you're introverted or whatever. And like I said, I was just so moved by so many of the scenes. I really was bawling my head off. I gotta say, I don't know what, maybe I connected too much to Fran. I don't know.
Oh,
But
we all did. I mean, we cried. My I don't think Dustin would mind me saying this, but he was crying,
yeah, yeah,
cried at the end when Daisy was doing that scene.
it's very moving. And so, Dave, I wanted to know from you just to wrap it up, what did you take away with it? And what do you hope that people will take away from it after seeing it?
Understanding, patience, empathy. I think it's like, we're constantly, I think, moving fast,
Right.
but whether it's technology, I think we're even going further away from like, it's funny. I watched this film myself and I'm like, I don't even eat popcorn.
Huh.
You know what I mean? I love popcorn, and I think people are like, you know, somebody else told me this who watched it. It's just like it kind of makes you focus because you go to a concert, somebody's on their phone. I'm like, you're not even watching. You're just
Yeah.
doing this. This is the
Yeah,
whole.
you go
Yeah.
to an
Yeah.
art
Yeah.
museum
So
and
I
they're
Yeah.
think
like, "Oh, there's the Picasso right there," and I'm like, "No, no, no, it's
it's
right
right
there."
there. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that creates like a disconnect too from each. I watch it with my nieces. It doesn't. I think the long term how detrimental it is. It is the lack of empathy. It
Yeah.
is paying attention. It is seeing somebody and then going, "Oh man, why they were going through something? Why didn't they tell me?" It's like you weren't paying attention. You weren't self aware. You weren't there for somebody. And I think
Right.
that's the take. I for me, it's a takeaway. Is like really have an understanding for people and
Hmm.
outside of yourself. I mean, I'm trying to do it through therapy or whatever, but like have this empathy and this understanding. So that's what I want people to take away.
100%. Well said. Well, listen, thank you both for your time today. I really appreciate it. And it really is a beautiful film. best of luck with it. So good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bonnie.
Okay. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.